What's this protein in my fuel? Lipase and its role in the synthesis of biodiesel. Lipase is a type of enzyme called hydrolases, and hydrolases are biochemical catalysts that use water to cleave chemical bonds, usually dividing a large molecule into two smaller molecules. As shown in the diagram, lipase is a central L sheet with an active site consisting of serine on a nucleophilic elbow placed in a groove. This groove is covered by a peptide lid. So, where are these found? Well, in animals and plants, and they're mainly produced commercially from microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. Currently, lipases are used as catalysts in the food processing industry, detergents, pharmaceuticals, paper, cosmetics, and chemical synthesis industries. Lipases have both hydrolytic as well as synthetic activity, and can therefore take part in industrially important reactions like esterification and transesterification, the two most common methods of biodiesel production.
So, biodiesels, what are they? Well, it's right there in the name. Bio, meaning they're derived from biological, renewable sources, and diesel, the type of fuel we know and love to burn. By using an enzyme like lipase, we can even keep the synthesis process biological and green. As we've mentioned, there are a couple of different methods to make it, depending on what sort of materials we're starting with, but both are based on the same principal reactions. Triglycerides, found in all sorts of plants, food waste and animal products, can be broken down into their individual pieces in a process called transesterification. In this process, the lipase enzyme acts as a catalyst. It's not used up, but it is vital to the process. By donating and accepting protons, or as they are commonly known, hydrogen ions, to and from the various pieces in the reaction, lipase allows individual pieces to break away from the triglyceride, such that it becomes a diglyceride, a monoglyceride, and finally simply glycerol. The pieces that break off, known as fatty acids, become enzyme substrate intermediates. It's a fancy way of saying they stick to the enzyme that pulled them off. As they're intermediates, this can't last forever, and there is a second stage to this process. When they come in contact with alcohol in the solution, the enzyme transfers a proton once more, helping the acid and alcohol react to form an ester. It's these esters that we call biodiesel, and once it's purified, we can use this as a fuel. Since the enzyme just acted as a tool, it can go right back into the reaction and help break down the next triglyceride as well. We've mentioned that there is a second process, but don't panic, you won't have to learn anything new. The second option is to start with waste oils. Perhaps they are degraded used cooking oils. These are already in the form of fatty acids, and therefore the enzyme can essentially jump to the second stage of the process we've just discussed, turning these directly into esters. This process is simply called esterification, and it involves exactly the same chemistry.
Now, when making biodiesel, there's a lot of things to consider. Your quantity, quality, cost of production, side reactions, all of these can be linked back to what catalyst you use. But why do we need a catalyst in biodiesel production anyway? You see, catalysts work by mixing with the alcohol to form its transition state, an alkoxide, which is what you need for the esterification process. Different catalysts would mean different interactions. There are 3 different types of catalysts used in biofuel production. These are your acid, alkali, and enzyme catalyst. Acid and base catalysts can be grouped by whether it's physically the same or different to your solvents. Homogeneous catalysts are like the reactant, which in this case is your alcohol, making it easier to optimize. And it can be either a homogeneous acid or homogeneous base catalyst. They are also cheap, readily available, and gives a better yield at mild conditions. Problem is that it mixes so well with the solvent, separating it from the product is a pain. It may also produce soap in the process if there's water present, reducing the overall quality of your biofuel. Now this is where heterogeneous catalyst comes in. These catalysts stay in a separate phase, usually a solid, to the reactant. It works by absorbing the reactant to its surface instead of mixing, making it easier to separate. Although it may not be as good as the homogeneous, it can be easily modified to be. On top of that, the easy purification means less energy and water consumption, which reduces the cost of production. Processing low-grade oils required the use of both heterogeneous catalysts since the base by itself, once again, runs into the issue of producing soap in the process. So where do enzymes fit in all of this? Well, it sort of falls in with the heterogeneous group. Since we're also avoiding water in all of this due to the soap issue, enzyme catalysis also improves as it is excellent in the non-aqueous media. The only main issue now is the cost of enzymes. Not only are they expensive, but excess alcohol can deactivate the enzyme, potentially making it non-reusable. One possible solution to this is by sticking the enzyme to a porous solid support material, immobilizing it and potentially allowing it to be reused. Even though there's risk of the enzyme still leaching out, getting back some of it is still better than nothing.
Let's have a look on the green chemistry perspective. Firstly, we have the pollution prevention. Biodiesel pollutes much less than regular diesel, as biodiesel is manufactured from animal fat-based or vegetable oil, which is environmentally friendly, whereas diesel fuel is manufactured from hydrocarbons and produces nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide, which causes air pollution. Biodiesel is also biodegradable, which reduces soil and water pollution. Secondly, lipase catalysis offers many benefits over chemical catalysis. Not only it has low energy requirements, but also produces a high quality of biodiesel. There is also no wastewater generation, and this reduces the purification steps or expense of disposal. Lastly, using renewable feedstocks is another principle we have to talk about. Biodiesel is mainly made from a varied mix of feedstocks that include soybean oil and recycled cooking oil. This also ties into accident prevention as it makes biodiesel non-toxic, and some sources find it to be less toxic than table salt. Biodiesel is safe during handling, storing, and even when transporting. It is safer than petroleum because it is less combustible. In the case of spillage, biodiesel causes far less harm compared to petroleum fuel. Overall, both the process of lipase catalysis in producing biodiesel and biodiesel itself is considered green. Furthermore, research indicates that lipase shows greater stability and conversion ability in green solvents like ionic liquids. These green solvents could ultimately displace toxic organic solvents to make biodiesel production process safer, yet still effective in meeting demand. It is clear that the role of lipase in biodiesel production adheres to the principles of green chemistry.